In today's session of Divorce Court, Teri Williams says she has no choice left but to leave Chuck.
My husband has got raging hormones. He's got testosterone levels that are unbelievable. Sex, morning, noon, and night, any day he wanted it, wherever he wanted it, whenever he wanted it.
I'm a man.
You know, your wife is not a truck. You just don't back her up and just put her in gear anytime you get ready.
We never left the bedroom.
Sex was the only thing you guys had time to do.
He wore me out completely.
Now Teri Williams faces Chuck Williams in today's session of Divorce Court.
All rise. Court is now in session. Maybelline Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is the matter of Teri Williams versus Chuck Williams. And Mrs. Williams, I'm advised that you want a divorce after 3 years of marriage. You want to tell me about it?
Yes, Your Honor. I not only want out of this marriage, I need out of this marriage. Basically, my husband has got raging hormones. He's got testosterone levels that are unbelievable. It was sex.
What's so unbelievable about that?
Sex, morning, noon, and night, any day he wanted it, wherever he wanted it, whenever he wanted it, whether I was getting ready to leave for work. It didn't matter.
Sex morning, noon, or night?
At first it was nice.
It was exciting, wasn't it?
Yeah, but you know, after a while, when you're not getting much back from the relationship, it's not fun anymore. And you just...
What makes it not fun anymore?
Well, I wasn't allowed to... we never went anywhere anymore. We used to, when we first got together, we'd go out, we'd go dancing, we'd go to parties, we'd had friends, we were into sports.
I object, Your Honor.
We would go to the lakes.
You object?
We would go to
You
lakes.
object to what?
We went and had fun.
I object to her idea of fun.
Oh, that's why you weren't doing anything with her. You had a different idea of fun.
No,
Your idea was sex and hers was something else.
You know,
I'm a union heavy.
Wait just a minute.
I'm a union heavy construction worker. Terry's a bartender. She worked nights, I work days. I work 60+ hours a week. She's a party girl. Material things and money mean nothing to her. She has no drive. I work hard. I want nice things. I want a good life.
Material things and money mean nothing to her. She just wants to party and have fun.
She's a bartender by trade. She's done it for 11 years.
And?
She loves people, and she likes that scene.
I like friends.
So your personalities are in conflict. You like to be around people.
I like to go to movies. I begged him for 2 years to take me to a movie.
So you're divergent like this. Not only do your hours not coincide, nor does your thoughts and ideas of life.
When we met,
yeah,
I have a 600 horse. It's factory 4-speed car. I had a pickup. She follows me home and doesn't think I'm into cars. I mean,
I told him when we met that my first marriage broke up 20 years before this because of cars. I don't do cars, and that's why
you don't do cars.
My first husband had race cars. This man had, at one time, I think 16 broken down junk cars in my backyard. My backyard at my house.
Collectibles.
My backyard.
So now what he said, though, was your first husband had a lot of cars.
Right.
And you didn't like it.
We never
and
got...
your marriage broke up because of his obsession with cars.
We never got a honeymoon. All of our money was spent on drag
She
cars.
left him because he chose a drag
I don't want to know about why she left her first husband.
Yeah.
But now you're telling me that you met Mr. Williams, according to Mr. Williams, and when he met you, he was driving
a nice car.
A
nice car.
A hot rod.
A nice car.
And it was fixed up and looking good.
Oh, yeah.
And he thinks that you were excited by his car.
No.
And that's why you followed him home.
No, the car is what scared me about him, and I told him that.
Now, Ms. Williams, according to the papers, you dated for 2 years. That's what I wanted to look back.
Right.
You dated for 2 years before you married.
We lived together.
You did what?
We lived together for 2 years.
Lived in the same house?
He moved into my house.
From the first
before
date
you
on.
married.
From the first date on.
What, are you serious?
First night, first date on.
But the reason we got married...
Wait, no, don't even jump to the reason you got married.
Well, the plan was there. The first year we were together, it was great, and I made the commitment then. Things got worse and worse and worse. More cars
Ms. Williams, you
kept coming
talk
in.
a lot and don't hear what you're saying. Because that's what you're doing now. You haven't heard my question. You've moved on to what you want to talk about.
What was the question?
Listen.
Okay. I'm a little nervous.
I know you're nervous. Just relax.
Okay.
This is an exchange between the two of us. It means that I get to share in it. But the point, what I was trying to make was, if you met him and he had a car that looked like the race car type, right? Reminded you of a race car.
Right.
Did you start having flashbacks and nightmares?
Yes, I did.
So,
and I told him no.
And did you start to live with him?
Involved with him.
Did you
no,
start
he moved in with me.
He moved in with you
He had no place to stay. He had
a
just gotten
day
a job.
after you met him. Is that right?
Basically, yes.
So not only did he have a car that caused you flashbacks, he didn't have a place to park his car, and you gave him the place to park his car.
Yes, I did.
And you lived with him for 2 years.
It was my own fault.
And if he's
I made a
obsessed with
mistake.
cars for 2 years, you already saw that he was going to have that obsession regardless of what he told you.
But you know, he said a lot of other things too. We had a lot of other plans too. He did tell me he
don't
wouldn't
tell
go
me that
crazy with
now
the
you're
cars.
divorcing him because of his obsession with cars.
No, it wasn't that. It moved way beyond that.
Well, then you need to go way,
Way
beyond
beyond
that
that.
because you make yourself sound like you really weren't thinking at all
2
to
years
stand
ago-
here now.
He moved me. I'm sorry.
Good.
I'm trying to keep a train of thought. 2 years ago, he moved me, and he tells me that if I move over there, I won't have to work. He'll take care of me. He'll start taking me out again. Everything will be great. I get over there, I become a slave.
What do you mean?
All I do is clean house, do the laundry. I do all the yard work. I do all the shopping. I get him up
'Cause
every
I'm
morning.
working
I make his
60
lunch
plus
every
hours
day.
a week.
Not
So what's
every
the matter
week.
with that?
On
What-
Sunday afternoon, I would say, can we please go to a movie? I haven't talked to anyone. I go to work to talk to people now. Your Honor,
Sex was our only
he
common.
had every Wednesday
Sex was
off.
the only thing you guys had time to
First
do.
2 years, all we had really was sex.
That's not true. We went to lakes. We went.
I
to,
lived
we
in-
went
I lived in
places
her
and did-
house.
I can't hear both of you at the same time.
I lived in her house for 3 months with her and her brother before. Well, it was probably a month and a half before I even met her brother.
Why? Because you guys
We
never came
left
up for air?
We never left the bedroom. We never left the bedroom.
No, don't tell that tale. How did you eat? You went to the kitchen and got somebody went to the
We
kitchen.
got up for food, but I never met her brother for a month and a half.
Your Honor.
So what you saying that the first 3 months of this marriage was a whirlwind of romance, and all of a sudden, as always, it just got dull and boring, and you just wore it out. Is that what you're saying?
No, it wasn't dull and boring for
marital
him.
bliss.
What do you mean marital bliss?
You pass each other in the hallway and you say what you say. That's your marital sex.
So since you all
we
couldn't-
pass each other in our comings and goings.
So since you didn't have time because of her work schedule and your work schedule to have sex with each other, if the marriage started on sex, you know you had to finish it on that.
Your Honor, he took it whenever he wanted it. It didn't matter
He
if I
took
was,
it?
It didn't matter if I was sound asleep. It didn't matter if I was leaving for work. He'd make me late for work because he wanted it right now. That's the way he is.
No, we
Well,
dr-
no,
He
well, it's
wore me
not.
out completely.
we
I,
drove-
And you didn't want it, I take it.
no, what I am saying is that I'm thinking at the time, I'm his wife. I don't want him out running around chasing other women. I'm going to give him what he needs,
That
but
was
it's not
never
what
a
I want
problem.
right now. No, it got to the point where I never went anywhere. I never got to go anywhere. We never went. We didn't even go to
So
a
once you
movie.
stopped working at the bar, you didn't get a chance to go out?
Right, and I don't like to go out and party at bars. I work
Terry's
in a
not-
bar.
Terry's
I
not
like
an
to go to
initiator.
movies. I like to go to lakes.
An
I like-
initiator of what?
starting anything.
She said she likes to go to movies
I know,
and
but
to
she's-
lakes and to things like
She's
that.
a wait,
I
a
said
wait
a s-
person. She'll sit on a couch and wait for me to suggest something. I've worked all week. I've worked 5,
She'd sit
6
on the couch and wait for you to suggest it, and she's the people person?
She would
No,
sit.
no,
She
no,
would
no,
sit
no,
there
no.
and wait for me to
No, no, no.
suggest something.
He wanted
I don't
me,
believe
he
that
wanted
for a
me
minute.
to
It's
initiate
true,
sex.
Judge.
And why
It's-
would I want to
it's
initiate
true.
sex when it's been taken from me every day this week?
You
Carry
finally
that.
got to the point where
I
you
wasn't
realized
happy.
that at some point sex can't keep a marriage together.
There
You
you
need
go.
more than sex.
And he wants me now to start initiating sex. And I'm saying, why would I want to do that?
When divorce court returns, Teri testifies about catching Chuck trying to meet other women.
He plays 7 different personals ads looking for other women while he's telling me he wants me to stay in his life.
And Teri's witness takes the stand
He was scary. He's crying, he's screaming, he's throwing he's
Yeah,
naked.
Throwing what?
and wears out her welcome.
Why you keep looking at her? What are you doing? Leave my courtroom so she can focus on me. Bye.
Are you involved in a dispute with a neighbor, friend, relative, or business person? Take your case to a new court show and be represented by a prominent attorney. Call 877-777-0099. Divorce court returns as Teri Williams testifies about how she tried to save the marriage.
You can't figure out how to balance work and some fun
Well, Your
and some
Honor.
pleasure.
Well, Your Honor,
You can't figure that out?
I was working on it, and I asked him at the beginning of last summer, please, let's spend this summer doing something together.
She
At
always
least once
wants
a
to
month,
go
please.
dancing. I love to dance, and I have
I'm a dancer.
I have
used
danced.
to
Well,
dance
hold on a
competition.
second. He wants to go dancing. What's wrong with that?
It's
Nothing.
good
I have
exercise.
danced my butt off the last few weeks. I've been following the bands
See,
around.
now that I'm gone,
No,
he goes.
because when she goes out dancing, we're
Wouldn't take me.
closing the bar.
Refuse to
We're
take me.
closing the bar. We're there 8 hours. I don't have time or
So
the
you only
want
want to dance an hour. She
I
wants
wanna
to dance 8 hours.
I want to dance a couple hours and go home. I want to have
I'd
some
have been
fun.
happy with that. But
But
no.
this is what I'm saying. You guys are sounding like two two teenagers, really.
Yeah.
I mean, as old as you are, you dated each other for 2 years, you married each other, you still haven't figured out that your interests are just not the same. You could have figured that out before you married him, Mrs. Williams.
Yeah, but
When you date for 2 years.
Wasn't dating.
And I had made, my problem was the first year we were together, I made a commitment, and I didn't back up. I just kept going with the commitment, going, okay, I can
Why,
live
when
with
you knew
this.
that he had all the qualities that you didn't like?
I don't know. It's just
I had
beating myself.
every quality she could have wanted. I worked
Oh,
my butt
right.
off. I brought my checks home. I didn't screw around.
And here's a man who yells at me for little bitty things. Every time
Raise
I turn
my
around, I'm
voice
getting yelled
when-
at.
Okay, this is going nowhere fast. What else?
I had errands from him every day he wanted me to do.
She had
I had
to
to
do
do all the
errands.
shopping. I had to do all the house cleaning.
She
Who
had
else was
to.
supposed to do it if he's working 10, 12 hours a day and you're not?
He had days off. He's talking like
Oh,
he...
come on, Miss Williams. In a marriage, you have to balance the relationship.
I was working 6 days a week, and I still had to do it all.
You said you weren't working.
I took about 2.5 months where I said, we need to start spending some time together, so I'm going to take Saturday nights off. He was making good money.
Ooh.
And then I went back to work 6 nights a week. I had 3 jobs.
Because
Okay.
I
And then
wanted
from that-
investment.
What was the final straw?
Then he tells me, I've got an idea for a business. I need you to check this out on the internet, that out on the internet. So I went over to a friend's house. Friend says, I've got an extra computer. Why don't you just take it home and use it there? So I bring the computer home. I'm looking up all his stuff for his business information. And he's in there looking at all the porn sites.
Oh.
So here I am sitting
I'm
on the
a
couch
man.
waiting to go out at night. He's got all day Saturday off.
So wait a minute.
He sits in front of that computer all day on Saturday. And I'm
Looking at
sitting
porn
there-
sites.
Looking at
Porn
porn
sites.
sometimes, talking to women in New York.
And that's because you're a man.
Your Honor, Your Honor.
And what is that supposed to mean?
It means
Here's
I'm
the
talking to
final-
people.
here's the
It's no big
final
deal.
blow.
So if you're such a man and
It's-
you have a woman at home
A woman that's
that's
not
ready to
satisfying
take
me.
care of you, that's not satisfying you.
No.
You know, your wife is not a train. She's not a truck. You know, you just don't back her up and just, put her in gear anytime you get ready. That's not what marriage and a relationship is all about. She's a human being that you have to respect her dignity, respect her body. She has a right to say no. You know, you're supposed to work together on this just like you do on everything else in a marriage. Not just whenever you get ready, talking about I'm a man. So she's a woman.
Believe me, no, I loved her. She knows it. I cried 2 weeks ago when she called me.
I respected his needs.
You know what, Mr. Williams, I think
So
what your
completely.
problem was is that you just put everything, yourself before anyone else. Lack of consideration for her feelings and for what she wanted as a person. It's just what I want when I want it. I want to work on my cars, let me go do that. I want to sit still, let me do that. Now I want to have sex, it's time to do that. My timetable, my schedule. That's not what marriage is.
And you know,
It
Your
was
Honor,
both of our time, both of our schedules.
you asked. He plays 7 different personals ads looking for other women while he's telling me he wants me to stay in his life. He'll change, I'll change, I promise. That's why I kept staying, because he kept promising he would
That's
change.
the only way you can talk
Ms.
to him.
Williams,
is if
I
you
don't know
place an
why
ad.
you stayed with him,
I
and
don't
the
either.
only person who can answer that question really is you. But I'm not buying for a minute that you stayed with him because he promised that he'd change.
I had no money to move with. I
Never.
had no way to go.
He didn't bring any money home. You didn't make any money. You said you were working.
We made just enough to pay the bills and buy his car.
But
She
you
bought
wanted to
5 more
leave.
cars the month before I left.
Witness step forward, please. Come on.
2 days before you left, I bought 2 more.
What's your name?
I'm Rainey. When I
Rainey
went
who?
to move her, Rainey Winter. I went over there to move her. He was scary. He's crying. He's screaming. He's throwing. He's
Yeah,
making.
Throwing what?
I'm sorry.
You said a word in this courtroom that you will never say again.
I'm sorry.
You better watch your mouth.
I'm sorry.
So he was throwing things, and then what?
I was just so worried. We even had a code word. Like if it got to where it was too scary for me to call the police. Like it was terrible. I, mean,
I
it was
thought you
scary.
went. You just said you went to move her.
But
She
he
was
stayed there. He
packing
was following us
all
through
my
the
stuff.
house the whole time,
Yeah, because I
crying,
didn't want
Did you
my
get to
stuff
move her?
to leave.
Yeah, I did it all.
I wanted
Because
my
he was
stuff
too
to
busy
leave.
pulling her
We
in the
had 2
bedroom
days.
to have sex, so I
All
had
right.
to do
Your
all
Honor,
that.
my father
What are you
was-
off? What are you telling me that I haven't heard already?
Well, she hasn't told you how bad it
Well,
was.
he keeps saying that I had a week to move and I had friends and family.
How
living
bad?
there.
What
We had
was
2
living with
days.
him?
Yeah, probably.
2 days to
I
move.
couldn't imagine.
Okay, thank you.
My
What do
father-
you want?
I want him to stop trying to steal my car. He went out last spring and bought himself a truck, a brand new truck. Then he gets to feeling sorry for me because I'm driving a car that's getting ready to break down. So we went out and we bought me a car too.
We bought it
2
right
brand new
off the
cars
delivery.
last
Wait a minute, I can't hear both of you.
We bought-
I am having a hard enough time trying to keep up with Miss Williams' lips. You just mumbling. Why you keep looking at her? What are you doing? Leave my courtroom so she can focus on me. Bye.
When divorce court returns, the judge renders her verdict.
Mr. Williams, you need to quit while you're ahead. I want to hear another word from either one of you.
And an update on the case of Andrea Roycroft versus Daniel Roycroft.
I thought we could make our marriage work. Because I have 4 children, I'm gonna have to one day explain what has happened with their mom and dad.
Divorce court will be back in session in a moment. Divorce court returns as Teri Williams testifies about Chuck trying to take away her car.
We bought 2 new cars last year.
All right.
He's driving a brand new truck. I'm driving a new car. I leave. I finally leave him because my father's dying. I got back there 4 days before my father died. I got 4 days with him.
Okay,
after
you
all this
left
abuse.
with your new car.
It was some serious. He comes over the day after Thanksgiving with his car trailer to steal my car. He keeps calling. He made probably 40 different phone calls.
And you want
or
the
at
car.
least 40.
Is that what you want?
I need the car. It's the
I
only car
want the
have.
car. Just say that. I want
the car.
Thank you.
It's
What is your
financed.
position?
Got
Why
5 of
can't
them.
It's
she have the
financed,
car?
and
Been paying the payments.
unless she refinances it and gets it out of my name, she can have it. Otherwise, I
Let me
want
see.
the car.
Otherwise, you want the car unless she refinances it and get it out of your name? Why?
Because I don't want the liability on my name.
I can't afford to refinance.
Well, you don't have the liability on
I've
your
been paying
name.
the payments.
Yes, I do.
And they've been
Are you
paid on
making the
time.
payments? Are they behind?
Every month on time.
This car is registered to Charles Williams and Teri Williams.
The insurance is in my name.
That's because we parted
It was purchased during the marriage,
March of '99.
and you already have a truck,
I
He
have
has
6
5 other
cars.
and you don't.
Sorry, Anna.
I want to hear another word from either one of you. You have sufficient number of cars. She doesn't have a car except this one car. It's registered in both names. It was financed during the marriage. The note is being paid. I don't care that it's in your name. It can stay that way. Now, if you want to sign it over to her, fine. I'm not going to order her to get the car refinanced because I don't know anything about her credit. I don't know if she will qualify. She's not, are you working now? I don't know if she could get a new car or get the financing for the balance that's owed on the car because of the fact that she may or may not be financially capable of doing so. But as long as that note is being paid, she is ordered to pay the note, and she may have possession of the vehicle. Simple as that. You go over there and make one move to try to get it. I'm giving a restraining order that you're not to go to her place of work or residence to try to remove that car. If you do, you're going to violate the restraining order, subject to arrest. You understand me?
I could have somebody else remove the car.
And if you do, you go into jail.
He's already threatened that.
Now, don't you stand, Mr. Williams, you need to quit while you're ahead. Now, if that car comes up missing, and as long as that note is being paid, as far as this court's concerned, you're ultimately responsible. The car is being awarded to her as her sole and separate property to use at her discretion. It's a community property item. I don't care if your name is on it. Now, that's the order of the court.
All rise. Parties may leave the courtroom.
When divorce court returns, an update on the case of Andrea Roycroft versus Daniel Roycroft.
So what was the point of having sex and producing children then?
I don't know.
Closed captioning for divorce court provided by. Are you involved in a dispute with a neighbor, friend, relative, or business person? To appear before a real judge on a new court show, call 877-777-0099. And now for an update on a previous case in divorce court. Andrea Roycroft said she knew her husband Daniel was gay before she married him, but she can no longer live a lie.
I married him because I felt that's all I could get. I thought we could make our marriage work. Because I have 4 children, I'm going to have to one day explain what has happened with their mom and dad.
So what was the point of having sex and producing children then?
I don't know.
Andrea wanted Daniel to reimburse her $240, money she claimed he spent at gay nightclubs. The judge denied her request. After court, Andrea went to see the new Madonna movie, The Next Best Thing, which reminded her of her own life. She says the movie made her realize she married a gay man because of low self-esteem, which is caused by her weight problem. She plans to have surgery to help with her weight loss. Daniel wants to be a better father to his 4 children and took them kite flying during a recent weekend visit.
I've been so afraid of losing that car. I spent $350 on a security system trying to keep him from stealing it.
Nothing more than I expected.
I pray I don't have to have anything to do with him anymore.
Sex, it's testosterone. I mean, maybe I got high levels, I don't know.
He wanted the judge to believe things that weren't totally true. Not all of it was true.